Hey everybody, it's Elisa with Momtastic Life. Welcome back to my channel and to another Bake With Me video. I'm excited today because I have been on a scone kick, which I know, is that random? That's probably pretty random, but I love scones, and so I started making them, and now I'm trying all different flavors. So today we're gonna try out a white chocolate cranberry scone. So I make no promises, but we'll see how it turns out and we'll hope for the best. So let's take a quick look at the ingredients that we're going to use today, and then we'll get to baking. Okay, so the ingredients today for our scones are not a whole lot. First we have some flour, a little bit of sugar, some table salt, vanilla makes everything yummy, baking powder, okay, not baking soda this round, but baking powder, some butter, and the butter needs to stay cold and be cubed up, and I have what I'll use in the refrigerator right now. Some heavy cream, and it's not that we're going to use so much of it, but this one is about empty, so I have my backup. A little bit of sugar in the raw for the top. And over here we have some dried cranberries, the white chocolate chips, and a couple of eggs. So these are all of the ingredients. Not too much. And let's get started. Okay, so to start, I've set my oven at 400 degrees and it's heating up now. Yeah, these get cooked at a pretty high temperature. So our first ingredient, we're gonna start by mixing our dry ingredients together, and we're gonna start with 2.5 cups of flour, right out of my handy container here, which if you've seen my other baking videos, you know I love having my big baking things in these open containers. It makes it so much easier. So here we go. 1 cup and 2 cups. And in the past, like, I don't know, month or so, I guess, I've been making different kinds of scones. So I found a basic scone recipe online, and I started out, it was for a chocolate chip scone, and I started out with that, and it was really good. So then I thought, well, what else can I do? So 2.5 cups. So then I moved on and I had some fresh blueberries, and I did some blueberry scones. Some I did just plain and some I did with some sugar on top. And you guys, so good. I really like the ones with the sugar on the top better, but I have a really bad sweet tooth most of the time, so it is not unusual for me to be poking in the cabinets at night for anything, even like extra chocolate chips or goodies I've made or whatever's in the house. It's a bad habit, but it is delicious. Next we're going to add our salt, and it's just 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Let's see. Yes, 1/2 teaspoon. Let's get this in here. Okay. This up here. And 1/4 cup of sugar. So these don't have a lot of sugar in them, you know, and I don't know who is team scone versus team donut, but scones are a lot less sweet than donuts or other pastries. So they're really good go with coffee or tea, or if you find some with like some frosting or sweetness in them, like chocolate chips or something, it's really nice because the scone itself is pretty basic, more of like I don't want to say bread. Bread's not the right word, but it's not sweet like a pastry or a donut. It's more neutral, I guess, to say, and denser as well. All right, so, and then lastly, we're gonna throw in here our baking powder. And this gets 2.25, if I can open it, my goodness, 2.25 teaspoons of baking powder. So here is 1 teaspoon. 1, 2, and 1/4. And you guys, I'm blind when it comes to reading. I can't see anything, so I need my glasses to see what I'm doing. Otherwise, God only knows how much baking powder would have in there. Let's see, 2 1/4. There we go. Put these up here. And how many times have my glasses been on my head and I've been looking for them? I feel like I'm 100 on those days. Okay. All right, 2 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. Let's put these here. Now we're just going to take a whisk and combine all of these ingredients. So just a quick whisk around to get everything in. Now at this point, I'm going to hop over to the fridge and grab my cold butter, because it's really important to use cold butter in this recipe. You don't want to warm it up to room temperature or anything. So I'm gonna step away, grab my butter. All right. And this is 6 tablespoons of butter, and I just cut it up into small cubes. Now this is the part that gets messy. Let's take my glasses off, because invariably they will like fall into the batter. Okay, I wear glasses for reading. I put them here and they always fall forward, and that makes it really awkward. Okay, so, and also at this point, if you're wearing any rings, I would advise to take them off because it gets pretty messy. So we're just gonna dump our butter into, the oven's heated, into the flour. Here we go. And we're gonna use our hands to incorporate the butter, okay? So it's like being a kid all over again. You throw your hands right into that mud pie or whatever and smush everything together. So what we're going for is kind of a crumbly texture. So I wasn't really sure when I first started doing this, like, what the hell does that mean, right? Like, I got to put my hands in and do all of this, and what's it supposed to look like? So, but basically, like every time I pick up a handful of the flour and the butter, I have the butter between my fingers and I'm kind of squeezing it to separate it into smaller pieces. So that way eventually it'll just be like, instead of like cube size, maybe it'll be pea sized. All right, so here we go. So we have all the butter incorporated, and I think if you had one of those pastry cutters, you could probably use that to incorporate and keep your hands out of it. Although it's kind of fun being able to put your hands in and play with your food, right? We don't get to do that too often. But I don't have a pastry cutter yet. It's on my list of things that I want. Okay, so here we go. This is what it looks like. It's kind of just crumbly. It's not fully incorporated, it's just all in there, and the butter is in small little like bumps and pieces in there. So we're gonna set this aside and we're gonna start on our wet ingredients. I'm gonna put this here, and I've got another whisk here. And now we're just gonna combine 3/4 of a cup of, oh here, oh my God, I swear my memory is going also, it's right in front of my face. 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. Put this in here. And a new one. You guys, how can anything with heavy cream be bad? I mean, seriously. Right? pour that in. And we're going to hang on to that heavy cream because we're going to need it to brush on top of the scones before they head into the oven. So we got 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. And now we are also going to put our eggs in there. 2 eggs. 1 and 2. Ah, no shells. Win! Fantastic. And we're also going to put our vanilla in there. And we need 2 full teaspoons of vanilla. I'm just going to throw these eggshells out. All right. So 2 full teaspoons of vanilla. Let's get all of the baking powder off. Let me double check. This is a teaspoon. Yes. And here we go. 1 and 2. All right. Awesome. I always like to wipe the top off after because I feel like a lot of times it like drips into the little groovy things here. And then next time you go to use it, it's impossible to open. All right, so we're gonna whisk these together. Whiskety whisk. Get those eggs broken up. Everything is combined. And we're gonna add this to our dry ingredients. So let's bring our flour back here. And add this in. And I usually grab a spoon at this point and leave the whisks behind. Leave the whisk behind. Here we go. And we're just going to stir this all together until you get a soft dough. So it's going to be kind of moist and it looks a little sticky, but it's really not bad to work with. And don't worry, there's no kneading involved, there's no yeast happening, but we are going to have to turn it out onto the counter to shape it. Actually, we can throw in our mix-ins right now also before it's completely combined. So for this, I've never done cranberry white chocolate scones before, like I said, but typically you use about 1.5 cups of whatever I'm mixing in, whether it's berries or chocolate chips. I am gonna attempt some new fun, maybe like a peanut butter chip scone or a brown sugar scone, a cinnamon scone. There's so many scone ideas in my head. I don't know what it is with scones this year, but I'm obsessed, you guys. So I'm gonna do about 3/4 of a cup of cranberry and 3/4 of a cup of white chocolate. So it'll give it a nice even amount of each when you're eating it. Let's see. Oh, I just did like a whole cup of cranberry. That's okay. I am not paying complete attention and I didn't have my glasses on. All right, so we'll take a few of those cranberries out. I guess I don't have my glasses on. Yes. Take a few of these out, and that's okay. I mean, it doesn't really have to be exact. I get kind of picky with my things, so I'm like a little anal with this kind of stuff, but it really doesn't have to be super exact. I think when I made the blueberry ones, I was even closer to 2 cups than closer to 2 cups than 1.5 cups. And it's kind of, you just kind of eyeball it, you know. You might like more stuff in your baked goods, and so you add more things. All right. Here are the white chocolate chips. So 3/4 of a cup of these, and I am using the 1/4 cup measure right now, I swear. Couple extra just because. Do you guys do that too? You're like, oh, perfect measurement, and then you throw in more. Like, okay, like 4 chips extra or whatever is going to make a difference, or like, I don't know, you guys. I always just feel like a couple of extra chips could never be a bad thing. All right, so I'm gonna get this completely incorporated now. It smells good. It's not even baking yet, and it smells good. Yeah. All right. Okay. And it's not going to be perfect, meaning, you know, you try and work all the flour in, but sometimes it just doesn't quite get incorporated. And when that happens, and it's not like a lot, but you can see like at the base of this bowl, there's still some flour down here. So if I can't get it like stuck in the batter, I just turn it onto the counter with it and incorporate it that way. All right. A couple more stirs. And you can see it's a little bit sticky, and that's okay. That's exactly how it's supposed to be, okay? Now we are going to make some space here. So let's move some of this stuff to the side, and let's get rid of what we don't need anymore. Like this and this. All right, and we don't need our measuring spoons anymore. So we want to throw some flour out onto the countertop because you don't want it to stick to your counter. And I promise it's not hard. Just get a nice workspace here. And that's the one good thing about having the granite tops, you guys. I can just, whatever I make on here, I can knead bread on here, I can do scones on here, I can do anything I want on here, and then just clean it right up, and it's no problem. So when we first bought our house a million years ago, my kitchen had all white tile, and it was really cute and really quaint until I had to live here for a while and clean it and try and do things on the counter. And then it was a pain in my booty. So eventually we were able to get different countertops put in, and it's made it really nice for the purpose of baking, if nothing else. All right, so I'm gonna turn this dough, and I still, no rings because the dough gets caught in them. Out here. And I have a little flour on my hands while I work so I can get it off the spoon. Okay. Oopsie. All right, just move the bowl. And now we're gonna keep floured hands, and we're just gonna turn this into a disc. We're not doing anything fancy with it. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of knead it for a second, get a little bit of this flour worked in that's on the counter, take all the stickiness out, and then we're gonna form it into a disc, cut it into scones, and put some topping on, and we'll be ready to pop it in the oven. It's really not that hard, which I was super excited about. You know, do you guys ever have like something you think, oh, I really want to make that, but it sounds so intimidating or so overwhelming, so you never do it, or you think you can't do it, or you know, you never want to try because what if you totally screw it up? So scones was one of those things for me until I started making them. Well, a few years ago I was making them, and then I haven't for a while. But the thing that really got me was bread, you guys. I had never worked with yeast before, and I had never made bread because it seemed like, it just seemed scary, right? When I was a little girl, my mom used to make bread a lot, and it just seemed like it took all day, and it was a big deal. And then we came into quarantine, and you know, all bets are off. We're home all freaking day. What else are we doing? So I found some yeast, and I found a couple of easy recipes. And you guys, I made bread. The kid loved it. I loved it. I mean, I love bread anyway. How do you not like bread? But it's not as big, bad, and scary as I imagined. It's kind of fun, and it's not too difficult. So, all right, so here we have a nice disc. going to rinse my hands off one more time so I can work. All right, so I got this nifty little, what do I do with it? This nifty little tool. It's called a bench scraper, and it's made for cutting dough and stuff, although you could probably cut vegetables or anything with it, really. I haven't tried it yet. But we're gonna cut this disc into 8 pieces, like a pizza. And before I started with this, I was actually just using a regular knife. So you can cut with whatever it is you have. So we're gonna go for 8 even pieces. Start in half. And I'm gonna just rub a little flour onto this to help it not stick, which I should have done before the first cut, but you know, didn't happen. That's okay. And okay, so as this cuts really well, but I can't see over the other side of it to see if it's completely even. So if my scones come out uneven and weird shapes, that is why. With the knife I can see, oh yeah, with the knife I can see on both sides, no problem. Is this a short girl thing? I don't know. I don't know. All right, and on the diagonal, let's see. Maybe if I put my glasses on, you guys, what do you think? Oh, look at that. Things are clear. Still kind of cruddy. All right, on the diagonal. And just so you know, I'm on my freaking tippy toes right now. Oh yeah, these are interestingly different sizes. And on the diagonal here. It's all right, you guys. It's not going to make a big difference. You may have the smallest scone here get a little more well done than the other ones, but in all honesty, it's not going to be a big difference. Okay. All right, so the tool is awesome at cutting, but I have a hard time seeing around it, so that might just be a personal problem. I don't know. All right, let's get this flour put away. And now you're just gonna find, oh my gosh, I have cranberries on the floor. Fantastic. Let me wash them. All right, so you're gonna find a pan. We're gonna put these on a pan, and they need to be a couple of inches apart. That's why I'm choosing to use such a large pan, which you can't quite see yet, but you will. You will, you will. All right, so here's my pan. It's rather large, and I'm gonna put a sheet of parchment paper. Perfect. Let's move everything out of the way so I can bring the pan down here and you guys can see what I'm doing. And so now we are just going to, this is gonna work. All right, this right here is my favorite little tool. I know this is so, like, such a little thing. This little spatula, it's like, I think it's like plastic. This is my favorite tool. We're just gonna scoop the scones. Okay, maybe we need to cut those a little more through. Let's see. A little firmer cut so I don't drag the neighboring scone with it. Okay. And it's only 8, you guys, so if you go crazy and you're like, oh my God, scones, I'm gonna eat all the scones, there's only 8. And I always tell myself, you know what, get up in the morning, make scones. It's great in the morning with coffee or tea. And you know how many times that's happened? 0. I'd rather sleep. And I always end up baking more in the afternoon, so then it ends up kind of being an afternoon treat. and leftovers in the morning. All right, number 6. And we're just gonna scoop these over a little. We need a little bit more space here. There. Number 7. And number 8. Perfect. Perfect. All right. I think the hardest part of this is just cleaning the counter of all the flour after. I'm just going to scoot this all over here and clean up after so I can move the pan over. You guys can see what I am doing. Yeah, it worked pretty well. Alrighty then. All right. All right, so here we have our 8 scones. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take some more of this heavy cream, and I usually just throw it in a little, this is just a small measuring cup. I mean, you could dip the brush right in here, you can put it in a cup, whatever makes this easiest for you. And we're just gonna brush some heavy cream over the top of every scone. Like I'm wearing the scone. So I have these little brushes, which these are actually really handy. It's the same thing I use to butter my pans when I have to butter in a flour baking pan. And we're just gonna take some of this heavy cream and brush the entire top of every scone. So there's no measured amount. You just use what you need to brush the entire top of every scone. And what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to keep 4 of these as is with just the heavy cream. And on the other 4, I'm going to take my sugar in the raw and sprinkle some on top. Since this is my first time doing this flavor, I don't know if it'll be too sweet with the white chocolate in it, or if it'll make it just right, or if it'll make it super delicious, which, you know, what a hazard that might be. But we'll see. And I have a couple of really awesome neighbors who, when I bake stuff, especially new stuff, I drop off at their house and then they give me their honest feedback so I can tweak things or know what needs to be different or keep things exactly as is. And so I don't eat everything myself. Because, you know, hubby and the kid will come down and grab 1 or 2 and say, oh, that's so great. And then they won't eat anymore. And then I eat everything. And as good as it tastes, I don't need to be eating everything, baking and eating all the things. I need to bake all the things and just eat some of the things. All right, let's get this one. Almost done here. Oh, what happened to this little guy? Let's put him back in order. On the end. All right, so we are all covered. I'll just leave this here. And I have some sugar in the raw. And this, you guys, I don't measure. I just throw some in the palm of my hand and see how it looks on the pastry. I mean, honestly. And this is all your preference. I mean, if you guys don't like sugar, don't put any on here. Just leave it with the heavy cream. You won't see the heavy cream once the scones bake either. It just bakes right in and you don't even know it's there. But I always like, if it's not a super sweet scone from like all chocolate chips or something like that in it, I love the crunch that the bigger sugar granules, that the bigger sugar granules give you. So I would probably not use regular sugar on these, not because it won't taste good, but not because it wouldn't taste good, but because the granules are, you know, like small, and it wouldn't give the crunch that I look for when I put these type of sugar granules on. All right, almost done here. Put put a few more on that one. Not too much. Top covered. I think we are good to go. All right, and then these go into the oven, like I said earlier, at 400 degrees. The recipe says 20 minutes. The original basic recipe I got said 20 minutes. I found that for me, 20 minutes seemed just slightly too long. That's a personal preference, and also you know your oven, so my oven tends to run hot. So I'm gonna go with 18 minutes and check them then. So off to the oven. Okay. I have the oven on the oven rack on the middle shelf, and we're gonna throw these in here and set the timer 18 minutes. Oh shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't know why I do that sometimes. I meant to hit the timer, not bake. 18 minutes. There we go. 18 minutes, 400 degrees. See you when they're done. Okay, smells good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That looks delicious. Okay, right out of the oven, still super hot. But look at these guys. These are the ones with sugar. Oh, that's shadowing, but maybe you can see it. And here they all are. They're browned on the edges. They smell amazing. I wish there was like a smell button that I could push so you guys could smell these. And they're all puffed up and beautiful. And this was the little tiny baby one, which still puffed up beautifully. So we're gonna let these cool and give them a try. All right, so the scones are done and completely cooled off. And in front of me, I have a plate with half of one scone that doesn't have any sugar on it and half of one scone that does have the sugar topping on it. So let's taste these and see how they came out. So I broke a piece off, and this is the non-sugared top, just plain, okay. Not bad. Good texture for sure. I got a little bit of the white chocolate in there. Yep, pretty good. And now we'll try the ones with the sugar top. I don't know if you can see the sugar on there. It's kind of sparkly. And let's taste this one. Do we have the white chocolate in the bite? That would be totally awesome. Yep, that's good. Yeah, oh yeah. Okay. They're both good. I prefer the one with the sugar on top because the scone itself is not too sweet and there's not a lot of white chocolate in there. Yeah, these are a keeper. I'll be sure to put the recipe in the description box below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Bake With Me today. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already, or the dislike button, unlike, dislike, whatever it is. If you don't like it, that's fine. Any interaction is great. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. What's going on? What's going on? How's it going? Yeah, no. Jokes just get lamer. Bye, guys.